You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio on ESPN Radio 1700. Now, live in studio, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media, this is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content this morning, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Randy Refro is in the house. Law offices of Randy Refro. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today National Blueberry Pie Day. Yeah, I'm beating anorexia, so that would be a good one for me. You might even take your kids, being that today is Take Your Daughters and Sons to Work Day. Take them out for a piece of blueberry pie and see if they can run around the office just a little bit more than they might have been doing anyway. Moving into the markets today, Dow Jones has recovered a little bit. It was down over 100 points. Now we're only down 21. Does anybody care? Well, you should, because it's also having an effect on the U.S. 10-year Treasury. Why do I bring up the U.S. 10-year Treasury? I tell you this all the time. The U.S. 10-year Treasury is important, or should be important to you, because that is the leader for mortgage rates. If you're thinking about buying a new home, and you should be. If you don't own one, you should own one. If you don't own one, who is it? John Paulson came up with the idea. If you don't own one, buy one. If you have one, get a rental, or help your kids, grandkids, friends get their own. Everybody should be in real estate right now. It's a lot better than being in the stock market, when the market is actually right now, we're looking at about 18,000. We're a little over 18,000 on the Dow Jones. Now, let me share this information with you because it's about as timely as it gets. Weekly jobless claims, they rose by 9,000 this last week. No matter what any of the politicians want to tell you, we're very close to 10% unemployment. Not a Ron Siegel Radio number. That is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's the U6 number, and it's right at 9899 is where we're hovering right there. So almost 10% of our population is unemployed. And then we look at GDP. Now, 70% of the GDP number comes from the consumer. Yeah, that's the consumer that's unemployed. And that's why we just got the advanced number for the first quarter of GDP at 0.5%. Now, it had been a weak 1.5%, then it dropped to a weaker 1%. Now we're down at 0.5%, yet the stock market continues to go up. Why would that be if the economy is doing poorly? Well, the Bank of Japan came out this morning with their numbers. They're not doing a whole lot. The Federal Reserve came out yesterday, said that the economy is not doing well, so they're not increasing interest rates. We will see a reduction in the mortgage rates. Once again, I've been sharing this with you. I had a little bleep up last week. We might see when the numbers come out later today that the mortgage rates are maybe up another basis point or two. Get in line, get your paperwork going. Rates will be dropping because there is nothing good in the economy. The rhetoric might be good. The economy is not. Speaking of not good, did you see the proof yesterday? Now here's proof positive. I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you when I see proof positive. Carly Fiorina, she has made it very, very obvious that she does not want to win public office. Hitching her ride to Ted Cruz. Now, he's already mathematically eliminated from the political race. I think there was a movie. Wasn't there a movie called Dead Man Walking or something like that? He doesn't even know it yet. He's done. Unbelievable. Now, then you go and flip to the other side. I mean, talk about, can you make any more poor decisions? And I'm not in favor of any of the candidates I see. I mean, look at it. You've got a crook, a socialist, a loudmouth, and a loser. That's our choices right now for a president. You pick which one is which. Now, here it is. Obviously, Donald Trump, whining Donnie. Now, what did he do? At least he made a good decision. I mean, Cruz comes out with somebody that's lost in California and dropped out of the presidential race. So what does she bring with him? The people have already said they don't want her. So what does Cruz do? He adds her to the ticket. Logic there? Can somebody help me with that logic? I don't really get that one.
You're absolutely useless.
Okay, so, I mean, if you brought Kasich on the ticket, I could understand that. If you brought Rubio on the ticket, I could understand that. Those are swing states. California will, we've got a news flash coming in. Cruz will lose California when it comes to the general election. So will Trump. No Republican wins California. I think, was it Reagan the last time California went for a Republican? Just saying there. Now, Donald Trump, on the other hand, when he's not busy whining about the rigged system, as he calls it, when I think he got 60% of the vote and gets 90% of the delegates. I don't know. You don't hear him talking about that system being rigged. It's when it goes the other way, it's rigged. But at least yesterday he came out with picking a winner to go to the rallies with him. So look at this. Ted Cruz running around Indiana with Carly Fiorina, who's already lost. Or Donald Trump running around Indiana with Bobby Knight. Who would you rather have with you in Indiana, Bobby Knight or Carly Fiorina? Seems pretty simple to me right there, but dead man walking, he's out there still on the stump telling everybody he's the candidate who can, I don't know what he can do. Moving along. Got to take this show down a little bit. We're going to go to the bathroom right now. How about over 900,000 people boycotting Target? And I applaud every one of them. Yeah, the Target's got into this mess now with the bathroom race, is what they call it. You see, Target is saying that you can go use whatever bathroom you want. If you think that you're a woman, regardless of what your birth certificate says, Target says go in whatever bathroom you want. Hello, sexual predators, are you listening? Target just gave you the okay to go in and use whatever bathroom you want. Am I the only one that sees significant problems with this coming down the road? Well, in North Carolina, they understood it. They saw it. But now there's 9 other states saying that they're coming up with laws very similar to North Carolina. Target, they're on the outskirts of this one. Oregon already said they won't let their elected officials or people that are getting paid by the state on an expense account go to North Carolina. I wonder why. You'd think the bathrooms are safer in North Carolina than they are in Oregon. Just my personal opinion. And it has nothing to do with the sexual preferences of these people. To me, it has everything to do with safety and security. You see, the LGBT community, I believe, only accounts for maybe 1/3 of 1%. Got to say that right. 1/3 of 1% of the population. I think there's more sexual predators in this country than there are members LGBT. So just think about that, and we're giving them a free pass to go in there. To me, I just don't get it, but, who am I to say? I see, though, I don't always agree with the president, but, here's one of those cases, very, very interesting. At the White House, they are going to build a wall. I don't know whether it's to keep the president in or keep him out or what the idea is. Secret Service building the wall 5 feet taller. Now, the same wall that the president says won't work along the border, I guess will work around the White House. But but at least he's building that wall. And now that'll just take a few people there. Now the president has also told us, and here's where you got to really enjoy what he has to say.
So I know whose ass to kick.
So the president said if we build a wall on the southern border, then the people that are jumping the border will just get bigger ladders. So I guess the idea now is the president's anticipating people around the White House getting bigger ladders because he's building a bigger wall. I just, could somebody help me out here? I'm wondering what the president...
Who can?
Yeah, I wonder what's in those cigarettes that he goes out on the North Lawn to smoke. I'm just kind of curious there. Maybe somebody else can help me out with that one. I'm at a loss. Speaking of at a loss, Medi-Cal. We talked to you about this before. Undocumented children now can get Medi-Cal. Now, they've always been able to go to the hospitals to get medical service. Now it's insurance. Going to cost you $143 million here in the state of confusion. Just a bit there. We're going to talk about all these things and more. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we are going to talk law, accounting, taxes, bankruptcy, all that with Randy Refro. He is our in-studio expert today. Investors, more real estate going on the market. Got a lot to chat about. You can reach us anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us on Facebook.com, and if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Almost 400,000 people this month have been there to see us. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
What if your family business could help clothe a less fortunate family? Or your restaurant could feed truly hungry people? What if you could help to comfort the lonely? Plant sustainable resources where nothing has ever grown before? Or make a child's lifelong wish come true? What if all you had to do was simply do nothing more than what your business already does every day? Would you do it? Introducing Processing for a Cause, a unique program that turns a percentage of your business's credit card volume into ongoing donation dollars for nonprofit organizations and foundations. Simply switch your credit card processing provider to Processing for a Cause and begin supporting a worthy cause today. The process is simple, and the cause will change lives forever. Processing for a Cause.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today brought to you by your household board of directors. Don't tell me you don't have a household board of directors because you should, and it doesn't cost you a thing. That would be real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, CPA, financial planner, tax planners. And today we're talking about estate planning because you may or may not have heard this. Many people did, but on April 21st, Prince died. Now, why would I bring that up in the Word on Wealth segment? Because he died reportedly with an estate of about $300 million. You know what he did not have? Hard to believe it, because obviously Prince must not have been listening to ESPN, because he died without a will. He died without a trust.
You know better than that.
Yeah. You know better than that, or you should know better than that. I talk about it on a regular basis. His family is now having to go through and try and figure out who's going to manage his estate. It's going to probably, if it's like Michael Jackson, his estate makes more money since he passed than when he was alive, and obviously the estate spends less money once they've passed than while they're alive. But he's got several siblings and part siblings, 5 half siblings, and a sister. Who's managing all that? Who gets to make that? Now, he died in Minnesota, so Minnesota law, as I understand it, takes care of or sets the ground rules. In California, do you want the California court system to take care of your family? Just because you wouldn't make a call to one of your household board of directors, that would be one of the estate planning attorneys, and get a trust set up? Now, think about this. I don't know. I think it's going to probably cost, 5%, 10% of his estate is going to go to the probate courts. That would be, $15 million to $30 million? Now, you may not have that much money to go. You may not have a $300 million estate, but everything you have is your family's castle. And I think you can probably get a trust and a will done for $2,000 to $3,000. Think about it. That's the Word on Wealth segment, again, brought to you by your household board of directors, the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. So we are honored once again. Randy Refro's in the house. Glad to have you back. I was wondering what happened to you.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah.
Then you shared that you've been out there protecting our country.
That's right.
Thank you.
Right. Last year I was gone for about 9 months.
9 months. And you know something? I say this all the time, Randy, being that I don't know. I'm sure that the YouTube channel got to you in Germany, but maybe ESPN 1700 AM didn't get there. But the idea is that we couldn't be doing, I couldn't come, if I was in Germany, maybe I could get away with it. But if I went over to China, I couldn't talk about how foolish the president is. I could do it once.
Right. Right.
But it's because of you and your colleagues that we can actually do that here, and I got to say thank you.
That's right. We have a lot more protection here than most everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to serving in the military, you also CPA?
Correct.
Attorney?
Correct.
Helping the masses. You're probably coming off of a little bit of chaos. Tax season's over.
Yes, just finishing up from that.
Have you got a chance to breathe yet?
Not yet. Not yet. Now I'm finishing up a bunch of legal things, and everyone's getting ready for summer and taking on a whole new direction now.
So let's just talk about taxes for a bit. You're probably sick and tired of talking taxes.
No, it's in the blood. I think that's always going to be there.
So what about those people that didn't file their taxes?
Oh boy, well.
Are they out of luck now?
No, No. I mean, I've got, in fact, some cases I'm working on now, people haven't filed for 5, 6, and 7 years. Not the most ideal situation, but it happens. You get busy doing other things.
I just forgot that it was tax day.
Yeah.
I had my head in the sand and didn't realize.
Right. You get afraid of it maybe or don't want to deal with it, but, got to deal with it. It's something that definitely will not go away. There's no doubt about that.
Well, we did give Ron Siegel Radio listeners an extra 3 days to file this year.
Yes,
Right?
yes, you did. Yes, you did. They had a nice little day off in there in Washington, and which allowed us another 3 days. And you know what? It just makes you work, 3 days longer, and nobody gets started till another 3 days later. So I don't really think it saves anything.
Yeah, it says just pay the piper now or later.
Right.
So you're helping some people you said that are 5, 6, 7 years out that didn't file their taxes. Is someone knocking on their door? Are they coming to take them away, put them in jail?
That's usually what happens.
Really?
That's exactly what happens. You start getting letters from the feds, the IRS, possibly the state, says, hey, you haven't filed a tax return on such and such a year. Please do it now, or we're going to file it for you. And then if you don't file or you don't contact them, you don't work something out, they'll do it for you, and they'll take all of your income, file a tax return, and basically give you no expenses. So your taxes are going to be much higher than they would be if you just sat down and did them yourself or went to a professional and had it done.
Well, and I'm going to say the latter there because, I can say that. Don't do them yourself. Right? I mean, I know that you've got those tools online, and I went to a website the other day I was looking up because I got a bad knee, and it told me exactly how to do knee surgery, but I'm not going to try and do it myself. Right? Taxes.
That's correct.
Don't do it. Go pay the fee. It's in the long run, it's going to be a whole lot cheaper, especially then once you start penalties. Is there a minimum penalty? So if I didn't owe money, I had a client just recently that shared with me that they haven't filed taxes in about 10 or 12 years. And it's basically they don't have any taxable income. So obviously it became very difficult because they were wanting me to help them get a loan, a mortgage.
Right, that'd be tough.
So what happens in the instance, is the IRS going to come after them if they haven't filed taxes that long, even if they have no taxable income?
They might, because if they have no anything on their record, then they might not hear from the IRS. But for example, if they've got a W-2 or they've got any kind of 1099s and that sort of thing, and so let's say they earn $100 in a 1099, but they spent $100, so technically they have no income. If they filed the return, they'd have no income. But the IRS is going to see the $100 1099 and say you got $100 worth of income, and they won't give you any expenses. So they'll go ahead and file a return for you, charge you with $100 of income, send you a tax bill, but you don't get to deduct any of your expenses. So yeah, it very well could turn out very poorly, even if you don't owe, if you actually filled out the return.
Interesting. Okay, so is there a minimum amount that you would say that, obviously I love you when you use $100 because I'm a simple guy and I can understand $100, right? But, say I know somebody that, they earned like $1,000 last year and there was a W-2 filed or a 1099 filed. They don't need any expenses against that, right? There's no tax due. They probably have a refund due because there's probably something withheld.
Yes, that's the key. If you have anything withheld, you should file a return.
Okay.
Because you might very well get that back.
Okay, that sounds. I always like getting the money back. That's always a nice. Now this year, I heard more than ever. Maybe it's just because I'm doing the radio show every day, but this year I actually heard another big time reason for filing your own tax return and doing it early. Is I heard a lot of people got scammed this year that their tax return was filed by somebody else on their behalf before they ever filed their own tax return.
Yes, I'm seeing that more and more each year. A lot of that is going on. Identity theft. The IRS actually has an identity theft section now. You can call in, you can check out your tax return, check things out. They can assign you PIN numbers for identity theft. That the PIN number actually has to go in your return before they'll accept the return. So they're getting, the IRS is actually getting much better at dealing with that as well.
And any of you that are working at Sprouts or worked at Sprouts, I know of several people, they obviously had their HR system hacked. So make sure you double check to make sure that your return was filed correctly. I know of 3 people that were either workers at Sprouts, part-time workers at Sprouts, and they all had their returns filed before them. Somebody filed the returns for them. They didn't even have to file their own. Wasn't that nice of them?
Yeah, and they usually get the refund.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that, and not a good situation. It takes a long time to straighten something like that out.
Get a hold of those HR departments, especially if you work at Sprouts. Get a hold of them. We're going to talk more with Randy Refro when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Bankruptcy, that's also on our docket today. We got to get some inside scoop there. You can reach us anytime. The off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Are you ready to overcome your biggest blocks with money and time? Your solution? Big Profits Now World Summit. The best skills and strategies to double and triple your business profits without doubling or tripling the work. This summit has gathered 24 experts specializing in business growth. It's a free online event that's happening now. Go immediately to claim your free ticket at BigProfitsNowLive.com. Enter your name and email and receive these free video interviews directly to your inbox. Again, that's BigProfitsNowLive.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
37% of American homeowners believe they have over 20% equity in their homes. Fannie Mae tells us 69% of American homeowners have over 20% equity in their homes. Fully 1 in 3 American homeowners are not informed about the amount of equity they have in their homes. Are you one of them? How might this be holding you back from achieving your goals? Text RSR CMA to 79564 to get a property valuation from one of the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Again, to know how much your home is really worth, simply text RSR CMA to 79564.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. They all are. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer, they have the solution for you. Check out their website. I've been there. Top left button, I think, is a annual service that helps get your credit report corrected. I think it's about $500. The one to the right of that I think it's like $87 a month, and it includes LifeLock. We were talking about that in the last the last segment. It's also got the credit repair service. It's got a lot of other things. So check them out. I don't know the whole story about it, but check them out. So here's a great commentary, and I thought I would bring this up just because it fits in the credit mantra. Article about someone that decided that they did not want to go to a pricey college, and realizing later after consulting with friends that the degree looks the same. When you put it on a resume, it's still typed. It's probably Times New Roman, 12 point. They all look the same. Graduate, BS, BSBA, whatever the whole 9 yards are. They look the same. But when you go to fill out a credit report or get a credit report, they don't have the same numbers where it comes to student loans. And student loans, I've got to tell you, they are probably the biggest item I see that is killing our young people from buying new houses. It has been so easy to get so much money in student debt. That debt goes on your debt to income ratio, and it gets calculated in, and it may be the item that holds you from getting I don't know, maybe you could have qualified for a $500,000 house. Now you can qualify for a $200,000 house. Might have been where it was a $200,000 house, and now you can get a garage somewhere. Maybe you can't get a garage. Think about it. Talk to your kids. When they're looking at colleges, do it with some financial or fiscal responsibility. It makes sense. That's Your Credit Matters segment, again, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. Continuing our conversation this morning, Randy Refro's in the house. We're chatting about taxes during the last segment. It's I know tax day is gone, but there's still those last minute people, Randy, that it's nowadays it's almost a given that if you want to get an extension, all you have to do is file the form.
Correct. They're pretty much automatic now.
That doesn't mean you can wait on paying, though.
That's correct. An extension is an extension of time to file, not an extension of time to pay. If you owe, it's due by the April 15th.
Now, it used to be, and I'm going back, I'm going to date myself, probably 15 years, that there was something called, in essence, I guess the slang was penalty proof. So if you paid, I think it was 100% of your liability this year or 95% of last year's liability or something along those lines, you didn't have to worry about penalties. Is there anything like that anymore?
Yes, it's still similar.
Okay.
That's with you. If you have an estimate payment requirement,
okay,
and you have to pay in estimate payments, so your average W-2 wage earner is not going to have that issue.
Okay.
It's your self-employed, your sole proprietorships, your folks that aren't getting W-2 wages. They've got to pay in quarterly, and so if they pay in the amount that they owe this year, the whole amount ahead by April 15th or April 18th this year, no problem. Or they pay in a certain percentage of last year, that's no problem. They'll avoid the estimate tax penalty.
Okay.
Okay, and they still may have other penalties.
Okay.
Failure to file, something like that, but that's the estimate tax penalty. Yes, that's still in effect.
Okay. Now, that's good. We're going to go dark side here. So what happens if we get that dreaded letter from the IRS saying that we're being audited? Should I go and bury my head in the sand? We certainly don't want anybody to shoot themselves.
We don't want that.
What do we do?
Well, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. That's the only thing that you should do is don't ignore it. So they're going to do it. You can't make it go away. Get with your advisor, especially if you have a tax advisor, and just say, hey, they're going to audit it. It might be a simple audit. They may do a desk audit, just matching up a few numbers. They want a couple of forms from you, no problem. Or maybe more in-depth. Especially if you're a business, you're a small business, you've got a Schedule
Or a conservative talk show host.
There you go. There you go. So if you're a sole proprietor, you got a business or something like that, Schedule C, they may want to see items of income, bank statements, maybe some more receipts, that sort of thing. It might be a personal visit that they want to take a look at some actual numbers and receipts. So it's not a big deal. They're human just like we are.
So let me ask you this, because we're in this electronic day and age. Do I have to keep receipts, or, my thing is, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I take a picture of the receipt with my phone, and I've got this electronic file that I keep in Dropbox. So I've got all the receipts there, but I don't have the actual hard copy.
Right.
Am I okay that way?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a good question. The general rule is you've got to have some kind of proof to support your expense.
Okay.
That could be a bank statement, but a receipt is better, especially if it's for a meal, so you're required to report who it was with and what you discussed. And there are certain things that you don't need receipts if they're a certain amount. Technically, you don't need a receipt for meals if it's less than $75.
Wow, okay.
Okay. Technically, you don't need a receipt if you have an overnight stay in a hotel for less than $25, which I don't know what kind of hotel would do that anymore.
But even Tom's, he might have left the light on, but he doesn't,
right,
he charges more than that.
So you got to have receipts. Now, here's the thing. I would keep them, generally for federal purposes, you got to keep them 3 years. For state purposes, you got to keep them 4 years. However, it does depend on what type. I had an audit recently where a gentleman was being audited on the deduction of his home interest. Right? Simple deduction. Anybody's got a home's got that. The IRS went back 35 years on their home improvements to determine if they could deduct the interest on the home, because technically the interest is purchase money interest plus interest on $100,000. That's the rule. But he'd refinanced several times over the years, and they went back and wanted to see, well, is that purchase money or $100,000? That's all you get.
Wow.
He went back 35 years looking at improvements to see if he put the money back into the home. So, in that
35
case,
years, I mean, you can't even maintain a home for 35 years for $100,000, right? I mean,
exactly.
You need a new roof twice during that time.
Exactly. So the worst case scenario is the IRS says no receipt, no deduction. So you're a homeowner. You've got a loan now for $500,000. You're paying interest. The IRS says no. You don't get the interest deduction on your Schedule A. For most homeowners, that would be a significant blow.
Sure.
And I've seen the IRS do that several times over the last handful of years.
Another good reason to move frequently.
There you have it.
Right? I mean, because 35 years ago, I think my house, the house I live in, was probably worth, I don't know, $40,000, $60,000. If original homeowners, they're getting nothing for their write-off.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right. And so just because you refinance over the years doesn't technically mean you can write off that interest. And it's a trap. It's a big trap. It's catching people off guard.
Plus, we get more and more, as the IRS gets a little more technologically savvy, right? It should be something that's pretty easy to catch.
Yes.
So be careful of that. Another great reason, I'm just going to throw this out there. When you go on to Quicken, I don't know if it asks you, how long have you bought the house, or how long ago have you lived in the house, or another reason why you need professional guidance from an individual that you can talk to, not these online services. So going a little darker here, Randy.
Okay.
I didn't file my tax. Not me. Hypothetically, I didn't file my taxes.
Everything's hypothetical
Absolutely.
in these situations, right?
Something I should throw that out there. Randy is an attorney, is a CPA. We're not giving legal advice today. If you want to hire him to give you legal advice, just give me a call and I'll put you in touch. But this is all educational stuff only. So, didn't file my taxes. I ignored the letter from the IRS. I should go before we even get there. IRS doesn't call people, do they?
Typically, they don't.
That's usually the site of a scam.
Not unless you ask them to call you and they're calling you back. But typically, they do not.
That's not the way they initiate the conversation.
No, that's correct.
So if you get somebody who says that they are the IRS and you haven't been talking back and forth to the IRS, check. Don't just put your head in the sand, but do check and be very, very careful. You might even be talking to the local police department first and see if that's a scam going on in your area, because that is one that I've heard a lot.
And emails. They typically don't email you and say, hey, you owe X amount of dollars. They don't do that either.
Yeah, and especially if it's $595 and send it with a prepaid credit card number. That's not the IRS doing that. That's a scam. Okay, so we didn't file our taxes. We ignored the letters. Get the knock on the door from a IRS criminal investigation person.
I've seen that.
What do I do?
At that point,
start praying?
Offer them a beer? Okay. No, I don't know if that's the right thing either. But at that point, it's gotten pretty serious. They're usually there for a reason. And like most lawyers do, they typically know the answers to the questions already that they start asking you. So they're just looking for your cooperation and if you're going to tell the truth or not. But typically, they already know the answers. So at that stage, I would just say, hey, thanks for talking, but, I'm not good with this stuff. I'd feel better if my attorney was here or my CPA. Can we schedule a meeting with them? And then I would do that.
Okay, so I do have that right to make that request.
You can make that request. It's like any search and seizure type right. If somebody thinks you've committed a crime and they start questioning you, you've got to be read your rights, which one of your major rights is the right to have an attorney present. However, the IRS is different. Okay, they're the only jurisdiction in the United States that can take your assets from you without a court hearing.
Wow.
So your neighbor can't do it, your employer can't do it, nobody can really do that. They have to sue you, get a judgment, and go that route. The IRS can just come in and take them away. And so you don't have necessarily the right to say, look, I'm not dealing with you.
One thing here, because we're going to talk more about this when we come back, and I'm going to say this, I know people are going to get mad at me, I don't care. If you get one of these people coming to you, don't be belligerent, don't be a jerk. Be courteous, be respectful, treat them the way you want to be treated. It's going to go a lot better for you. I get some people that say that they're just out to hurt you, police are out to hurt you. No. They treat people the way they reciprocate is the way is the right
That's correct.
You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, more with Randy Refro. We're also going to talk about investors and real estate. And we got to get to bankruptcy. Not a fun topic, but we're getting dark here today. That's Ron Siegel Radio. At least we're giving you the answers, trying to simplify things and give you some solutions. You can reach me anytime, off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Stay tuned. We will be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Isn't it time you found out the truth about FHA insured home equity conversion? No, it's not your grandfather's reverse mortgage. This just may be the finest financial planning strategy available for all homeowners of retirement age. Helping protect what you've earned is the job of your board of directors with continued education. Major research has shown that using a HECM will significantly enhance the success rate of a retiree's portfolio and legacy. Please allow us to educate. For your complimentary consultation, call Jay Kaplan at 949-300-3855. That's 949-300-3855.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership. What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
Help those in need by cleaning out closets and garages and donating used furniture and household items to Father Joe's Villages. Call 1-800-HOMELESS or visit neighbor.org. Believe you can change a life. Be Father Joe.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by VIP Mortgage. When you are ready for that next mortgage, even if you've gone a little dark like we've been talking about today, one day out of foreclosure, one day out of short sale, one day out of bankruptcy, VIP Mortgage has the programs that'll help you buy your own home even in those scenarios. Investors, more sales, higher prices. National Association of Realtors recently again released their 2016 Investment and Vacation Home Buyers Survey. The survey says many characteristics of both vacation home purchasers and investors very, very similar. The survey revealed investment home sales 2015 jumped 7%. Not a bad number there. Lawrence Yoon, the chief economist, discussed the increase in the number of sales. Prices are up. Remember that core logic. They came out with the idea that California real estate, 10.2% appreciation is their estimate. Yeah, even if we get half of that, that'd be a good number in California. So think about those things. If you haven't bought a house, if you're looking for a place to invest money. Again, I shared this with you earlier in the broadcast. The stock market, well, it's down 42, down at just under 18,000 as we're speaking right now. And be careful right there. There are better investments than the market. That's the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by VIP Mortgage. So we've been chatting with Randy Refro this morning. Again, educational purposes only. This is not legal advice. Bill Handel is not here, so we're not chatting about that stuff today. But we've talked a lot about taxes today. So Randy, I know that the bankruptcy code doesn't help our young people that have student loan debt for the most part.
That's right.
What about the IRS? Will it help us fend off the IRS?
That's a good question. I hear that a lot. That one's tricky.
Okay.
So the answer, as I guess most lawyers would tell you, is it depends.
It depends. Okay, there we go.
Right?
Keeps lawyers in business.
Right, but here's what it depends on. If you are current with your taxes, in other words, you filed all of your returns, you've done them timely, like you were supposed to do, and for any other particular reason you're in bankruptcy, there is a chance that some of your tax debt, or all of it, can be discharged. So yes, it can. However, there's a certain situation where the last couple of years amounts due may not be discharged. Okay? So if you've got tax debts that are lingering 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years out there, which happens if you had a failed business or whatever, yeah, some of those can be discharged.
So let me ask this question, because obviously bankruptcy is one of those last resort type things. It's not something I don't think it's something that's horrible. It's not a scarlet letter. Nobody really cares. I mean, it affects you, your family, maybe more psychologically. Your next door neighbor probably doesn't care about your financial situation. So don't do anything drastic. If you need to file bankruptcy, consult an attorney, see if it makes sense. But the issue comes up is, what's the long term? I mean, The student loan debt we know we can't deal with. The tax stuff we probably can deal with. Do I lose my house? Am I going to lose my cars? Am I going to lose my... I don't wear a wedding ring, but am I going to lose that?
Right, good question. Of course, the loyal answer is it depends, right? But what it depends on is if you have a lot of assets, you might lose some. But generally, the average consumer is not going to lose anything. Okay, there are a number of exemptions in the bankruptcy code that allow you to keep general things that you need to live your life. Automobiles, houses, unless you have a lot of equity, personal property, clothing, wedding ring, things like that. A lot of that you'll be able to keep. You move on just like you are now. It's if you have exorbitant amounts of equity in things, you're going to lose that. Or if you had, let's say you have 2 or 3 rentals, bankruptcy court is probably not going to support you keeping those, especially if they had any part in playing that cause you to have the bankruptcy, like you're upside down so much, or B, you're making a lot of money off them, or have a lot of equity. The court might be like, well, no, we're going to take that and use that to pay some of your creditors. But other than that, yeah, you're mostly going to keep everything you've got.
So who's the candidate that should be really, if someone's listening right now, I talk a lot about the idea of you can do debt consolidation loans if you have a lot of debt. We got 2 questions. One of them is, who's the candidate for bankruptcy? And the second question would be, should I deplete my 401k or IRA?
Oh, great questions. First of all, if you wake up in the morning and you have in your first avenue of thoughts anything about how do I make my credit card payment today or the end of the week or the end of the month, then you're a good candidate for bankruptcy. If you're worrying about that stuff, take a look at it, okay?
Especially if you're getting up at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, especially if you're getting up at 2 in the morning or still awake at 2 in the morning worrying about this stuff. 401ks, and I see this a lot coming to my office, and I feel terrible when people do this, is they think, hey, it'll be better next week. Hey, it'll be better next month. This thing will happen and I'll turn around. So they think, well, I'll take a little money out of my 401k or my IRA and I'll pay this one debt off and then I'll be fine. I can make the payments on the other. Don't do that. My suggestion is do not do that. Do not take money out of a retirement account, really for any purposes, but especially to pay debt. Because in bankruptcy, typically, your retirement accounts, you get to keep.
Okay.
They won't take them. But if you take money out to pay a debt, you can't get it back.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so I had one lady I spoke to about bankruptcy. I said, hey, you should look at bankruptcy. You got problems. She had a bad rental, 2 bad rentals actually, and a medical issue, medical bills piling up, and she couldn't work much. I was like, you're a candidate for bankruptcy. I spoke to her. It was like in March of one particular year, and she's like, "Oh no, I think it'll turn around. I get the job back. It'll work well. My rental will pay. We'll be okay." A year later, I was having the same conversation with her, and she said, "You know, the only thing that's changed from last year is I depleted my 401k to make my payments over the last year." And I said, "Okay, so we had a discussion about bankruptcy filing last year. We're having the same discussion this year. You just are 401k less."
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, basically. I said, well, you can't get it back. I said, you won't get your 401k back, but I can put you in bankruptcy today just like I could have a year ago, and you would still have that 401k. So I felt terrible for her. But we went through the bankruptcy process. She qualified, got it filed, got it done, and changed her life overnight.
That's, something you hit the nail right there on the head, Randy. I've heard that so many times from different bankruptcy attorneys I've had the pleasure of chatting with, is I bet she slept better the next day. She might have even got a little bit of health benefits coming back, because a lot of people get them worried sick, so to speak. And it could have been a lot better.
Could have been better. It could have been better sooner.
So here's the idea right there, is what I'm going to tell you is it's called a game plan. And I talk about game plans so many times. ESPN, I don't know anybody that's on sports or does any kind of sport that doesn't have a game plan going into any kind of an athletic event. Well, think about that from your household finances, right? I mean, if you had the game plan, if you'd gone and talked to Randy, you might have found out bankruptcy was the best solution first. If you didn't want to do it then, at least consult and say, okay, I'm going to do these things, but he at least has an opportunity to give you guidance on the correct directions to go. Right? Don't make that mistake of the 401k. Don't make that mistake of using the IRA. Maybe there's a situation where it does make sense, but at least you can do it with the guidance of somebody that can tell you, here are the pros, here are the cons, make the decision, educated.
That's right.
Right? Doesn't that very, very simple process there, and there's so many people that don't listen to that process.
Right, and I've had people come into my office the next day or two after filing crying. Just saying, my life is just changed. It's different. I'm not as worried about stuff anymore, and they didn't realize it before they filed. But once they do, you kind of kick that thought process, and it's like a whole new world.
And I bet 6 months later, nobody knew, nobody cared other than themselves and their family because they felt better. And then get a hold of Credit Sanitizer because your creditors probably didn't correct your credit report as they should. One other thing you need to do today, you've got about 2 hours left. iHeartOC.org. iHeartOC.org. Go over there, give some money to the Orange County Family Justice Center or Veterans Legal. Those are two big charities that I like. They're there right now waiting for donations. Be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And remember, help a lot of people, make a lot of money, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
XLPE 1700 AM, Decatur, Baja California.
You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700.